Yeah, Jeff, Ronak, is he hurt or just a maintenance day or what's the status?
I would say it's a maintenance day, but there's a little bit of a nagging deal there, so we'll see tomorrow.
And any update on Lindstrom? Is he going on the trip? Is he still out?
Lindstrom will be out. He will not play either game on the trip.
And Stahl too?
Stahl is in COVID protocol still with Bertuzzi.
Stahl, do you know when he'll be eligible to return?
There's a couple different ways you can return. So I don't know that answer as we sit here today.
And I noticed you had Nemesnikov on the power play. Is that you can give him a look there?
Yeah, actually we are going to give Vladdy a look. Vladdy's somebody who has been who has played on the power play in the past and done a pretty good job, and we haven't given him much opportunity here, very little. He's probably earned it through his play as much as anybody. And he's been, I think he's been playing real good hockey. He's found the back of the net, and I thought he looked excellent on the power play today. So if he can play the way he did today on it, he'll work towards earning himself a spot.
He's got a real good shooting percentage. Would you like to see him get more shots off, or is he pretty much taking what's given?
I can't sit here and say to you that he's passed up a lot of shots. I think our team has. But I can't sit here and say, boy, I've had a whole list of, it's not something that's been a consistent thing in my mind. Sometimes high shooting percentages are just the way it works out for a period of time, and those do have a way of equaling it out. So just taking more shots doesn't mean that you're going to continue to score at that shooting percentage. He is somebody who's been around the net. Guys that are around the net tend to have a little higher shooting percentages because the types of goals they're scoring. And they're not just necessarily just beating a goalie from the slot. They're a rebound goal, a tip goal, an in tight goal. And so, I think one of the things he can be good at is slippery around the net. But to answer your original question, while our team, without a shadow of a doubt, needs to have a way more shot first mentality, I've not necessarily seen that with Vladdy.
And that line, that's one of the line that's been together the most consistently. Do you like just the fact that they're all fairly decent sized guys and that you can match up against bigger opponents?
They've had good chemistry. We put them together early in the year with the idea they could be a momentum line and a line that can play against the other team's best. They all have differing skill sets, but certainly have a real big man in Rass and a big strong man in Earns, and then Vladdy, I think, is skating really well and has good smarts and kind of a good two-way player. So it's been a line that's made some sense. We've looked at some other options with our lines too. So we'll see where we're at tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
John Neal.
Hey, Jeff, you're almost a third of the way into the season. I'm kind of curious what you think you've learned about this group and the way they respond to losses like last night, especially with as many young guys as you've gotten bigger roles here.
I would say that we've done a pretty good job of kind of nipping things in the bud, but not totally. Like out west, we went through that stretch where we lost a few in a row. We've gone to a couple stretches where we've lost a few in a row. We'll have our hands full tomorrow and the next night. Those are two tough opponents at home. I think we're making progress as a group from a defensive standpoint. Now we got to find that balance of being able to score while playing complete hockey. And I think part of that's, as I talked about, just simply shooting the puck more. I think we have a young group, and that is, there's positives and negatives to that. And one of the positives is they are. So a number of the young players have a lot of self-belief, and when you have self-belief, you don't let a loss bother you as much. You move on to the next one, and so I think we have a group that has self-belief that we can go out and play way better tomorrow night.
And maybe along those same lines, you kind of touched on it, but I mean, how important is this little 2-game road swing here to sort of, I don't know, reinforce that and maybe not lose whatever momentum you built up the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, well, I think momentum's critical, and so certainly you want to keep that momentum. I was disappointed in the game last night because we had a chance to keep that momentum at home. So I was real disappointed in that, and every game is really, in the end, is of equal importance. That's the reality of it, but certainly momentum matters. And I also think we get to go. We haven't had tons of success on the road, and we get to go play two real good opponents. So, I've been asked about measuring sticks at different times. I think you kind of every time you go out there, there's a measuring stick. And tomorrow night against St. Louis on the road will be a good measuring stick, and it'll be a good measuring stick the next night against Colorado. They're games for us to look in the mirror and say, where has our progress been?
Thanks.
Ed Colton.
Just piggybacking off John a little bit, Jeff, what do you need to see here in St. Louis and Denver these next couple of nights? I mean, it definitely seemed like there were some areas last night that you weren't too pleased with and all.
I think we've been a better defensive team since the last time we played St. Louis, but we also probably haven't seen the firepower that both St. Louis and if they're at full strength, I don't know how many players they'll be missing, but the firepower that St. Louis and Colorado can throw at you. So it's going to test us again defensively. How good are we in the D zone? How good are we in the track? How good are we at protecting middle ice? And as I've talked about lots, you got to be good in those areas to win on the road. Otherwise, you're just giving momentum away. So, certainly our puck management has to be better than it was last night. We got to do a way better job getting pucks out and getting pucks in. It'll be those are the things that are going to be really important. And then you got to find your way to kind of grind it out. And hopefully it's a close game and you find a way to win in the end.
Jeff, you alluded to the road. I mean, any rhyme or reason there? It seems like you faced some pretty tough teams, obviously, this season so far on the road. And I don't know what's going to be the difference to try to get some W's on the road here that are coming up.
Well, I think there's two reasons why our home record's better than our road record, and one of which we can't control, and that's our home crowd's been excellent, as I've talked about lots. Two, I don't think we've played winning hockey enough on the road. I think we've given the opponent momentum through poor puck decisions, through poor puck play, and through at times not good enough defensively. Now, a part of that stretch was a stretch where we just, because of the schedule, it was really, really difficult to practice. And you could just see the structure go away and the habits go away. And that's what happens. And so, we don't have any of that excuse now. So we got to go and we got to play much tighter as a unit of five and make sure that we're protecting that middle ice better against both these two teams. And if we do that, you put yourself in position to try to win the hockey game.
Perfect. Thanks for this, Jeff.
Yeah.
Wayne St. James.
Hey, Jeff, has Suter met expectations you had for him so far?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, yeah, I would say yes. I obviously with a guy who's been in the league 1 year, I wasn't totally certain where how good he was going to be. I knew he had played good hockey against us last year. I think to start the year, I thought he played well. Then I thought he dipped on that Canadian road trip into Boston, into Buffalo, and then since then, I think he's played really good hockey. I think he's made good decisions with the puck. He's smart. He's good defensively in a smart way. So I think he's definitely, I would say, met the expectations, and I think that line hasn't his line hasn't as much offensive success as I think they've actually created. And I think over time, who's ever with them, I think they've got an opportunity to continue to create more.
He's maybe a smarter player than people realize, or harder. I mean, he's around the net a lot and good on the PK. Like, he's not a guy who you look at and think he's physically imposing, but he's smart.
Very, very smart. He's got great hockey sense, both offensively and defensively. He is around the opponent's net. He's very, very good in those areas with his stick. That's where he scores all his goals. He's been I think he's done a good job since we've used him fairly regular on the PK. Smart defensively. So he's a good all-around player.
I'm just curious, when did you know that he was going to be okay? I mean, he's such a, all players are important, but he's such a key part of your lineup. Was that like not till this morning, or?
Yeah, we got it this morning. I think it's like anything, as I've said before, you're patient, you evaluate, you see where everything's at. And, as he got through practice, it appears that he'll be ready to go tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yep.
John Neal.
One more. You're talking about guys needing to be ready to shoot and getting shots off quicker, especially last night. How does that apply to Zadina, and how do you get that to happen with him? Seems like it should be natural for him with this skill set.
Yeah, he is somebody who will shoot for sure. There's no doubt that he doesn't need to be encouraged to shoot. I think there's still a work in progress to get those shots off quicker. That's an adjustment he's still kind of working through. Just a quicker release on his shot, and that's kind of a skill set thing that he's got to work on, every single day after practice. And then I just think with what we call a kind of a pre-scan before he gets the puck, what's the best lane to get it through, and not just shoot it as hard as you can, but what's the best kind of area to get it through. Sometimes you're not necessarily shooting to score, but you're shooting for off the net for chaos and hitting people and creating chaos off the shot. So that's an area that I think he can improve, but certainly he doesn't need to be asked to shoot.
Carly Johnson.
When we look at last season, earlier on, when we were plagued with injuries and illnesses, it seemed like they went on a losing streak. How do you make sure that doesn't happen with guys in and out of the lineup this season?
Certainly, if you look around the league, I think as teams have lost a significant number of players, those are often difficult to absorb for a long period of time. So far we've been fairly, we're in a spot now where I think we're down 3 players. That's not insignificant, but it's not to the level that maybe like the New York Islanders faced at one point where I think they had 13 regular American League players in their lineup, and so it just depends on 2 things, I think, in terms of how we can face that challenge better. One is to what degree you're missing players. Is it a few or is it a ton? Probably which players you're missing is important as well. And then the guys that are in the lineup, how well they play. And it puts more pressure on guys in the lineup, whether they're guys that are in the lineup all the time and have expanded rules, guys that already have expanded rules and got to play at that elite level, or guys called up. If they all play great, then you can absorb those losses much easier. So it puts a lot of pressure on guys to play their absolute A game every night, which is not easy to do, but that's how you ultimately can get by it.
Absolutely. And when we have a team like we did last night, the Nashville Predators, that's eliminating time and space, how do you generate more offense and get more shots on net?
I thought last night it was a real prime example where we didn't shoot the puck. We had opportunities to shoot the puck. Ultimately, we haven't spent enough time in the O zone compared to our own zone. And there's 2 factors in that for me. One, or probably the biggest factor in that for me, is being careless with the puck or trying to force pucks that aren't there. So making sure we're way smarter with the puck. When you get confronted by an opponent and they have a tight gap on you, you got to lay it behind them and hopefully have great slash support and you get to the puck first. If not, you're on the forecheck and you play in the O zone. And when you're in the O zone, not being careless with the puck, not trying to force plays that aren't there, and then be real determined to shoot it and get it back.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
That's it for us today. Thank you, everyone.